try to run outside tomorrow, Randy.
All right, good evening. I'm going to call to order this regular board meeting on Monday, December 19th, 2022. Mr. Drewer, roll call, please.
Mrs. Eubank.
Here.
Dr. Ruffert. Mr. Pullman.
Here.
Ms. Larimer.
Here.
Mr. Bennington.
Here. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, this is fun. So the safety briefing is not in my notes here, so I'm going to wing it a little bit. So we welcome you to this meeting tonight. We care about the safety of everybody that is in attendance. Please note that there are exit doors over here and behind you. There is also an AED located out in the hallway, and you are at 140 East Indiana. So thank you for, was that close enough? What did I miss?
No,
Okay.
you're good.
So thank you for coming tonight and supporting Perrysburg schools. Speaking of which, this is one of our favorite meetings, so a lot of recognition to be done tonight on the agenda. So first order of business, if I can have a proposal to adopt the agenda.
So moved.
Mr. Pullman,
Second.
Ms. Larimer, and roll call, please.
Mr. Pullman.
Yes.
Ms. Larimer.
Yes.
Mrs. Eubank.
Yes.
Mr. Bennington.
Yes. Motion passes. So we are going to start with our Board of Education recognition, and I'm going to turn it over to Mr. Hostler.
Thank you. This evening, we are excited to recognize and call attention to just a wonderful career by one of our very familiar staff members, administrators, and that is our Child Nutrition Services Director, Lila Zazda. So we wanted to say a few things about Lila and invite her up, and if she'd like to say anything, she can, and we have a little recognition for her. And thank you for those that helped plan and those that attended the reception for her prior to this. So it was great to see so many old and new faces, of folks that were here today. But Lila Zazda is retiring, and she's been a very steady hand in all that we do. And we have a number of students that are here, and when you think about your food service experience, I think it's unique to Perrysburg, where kids actually like to buy food in the cafeteria, and the things that are offered make a huge difference. Behind that has been someone who has been working very diligently to make sure that not only are our students being served great quality food, but also done so in a way that makes the students view the food service as much more than a place to get food, but the connections, the relationships that she has really fostered, and that has really permeated the entire department. Lila began working over 30 years ago in Perrysburg schools, and you think about the things that we want our students to have today and our staff to have, grit and a great work ethic, and being very much customer driven. She has done a remarkable job of doing those things. She began, before she started working in the schools, she operated a restaurant. And when she got out of the restaurant business, had an idea, I think, one day to go ahead and work for the schools. And actually began working as, I think her first job was a dishwasher, and began to work her way from there to worked her way up through a variety of positions and a variety of buildings. And I think that ability to kind of work your way through so many different positions here, and when you finally achieve the position that she did, I think it was in 2002 as our food service director, you have an appreciation for all the little things that have to happen for something to be successful the way that our food service program has been successful. And I think it's those little things that make such a big difference for us. And it's through that lens of having, I think, valuing every single position that goes into food service. And I think she's done a great job of that. In the 16 years that she and I have worked together, it's been a department that has always been a shining star for us. It's been something that has really been a point of pride. In districts across Ohio, food service is something that is supposed to function by itself using its own revenue. And in the 16 years I've been here, that's exactly what our food service department has done. It's always been run with a positive balance. And running that food service is much like running a business, back to running the restaurant like she used to, where all the salaries and equipment and food is paid for out of the revenue that's generated. A lot of people don't know that about food service, and we've really benefited from that. But we've had some interesting times over the years, ranging from power going out while they're making food for students and having to order Marcos to come to the rescue, to getting into not having any water when we didn't have water because of the algae bloom, and then COVID and the things that happened. And I think to see her transition under each of those types of situations is just that resiliency, and I think her department really fed off of that. So Lila's been an outstanding person for this district, and what she's done has made an incredible difference. And I don't always have the greatest dietary habits, and she can attest to that. But with all that we do here in the district, I know at the end of the day, taking care of our students and making sure they have great meals, nutritional meals, has been something that she's done very well. So we wish her all the best with her retirement, and we hope to see her, resurface in some way, shape, or form here somewhere around the district. So, so at this point, Lila, we'd like to have you step up and. So for 16 years, you've dodged having anybody talk about you at a board meeting until now. So
They had to see me first. Thank you for the kind words. It has been wonderful 30 years working for Perrysburg schools. I love being able to have options for our students, our staff, and even community members. I can't say enough that 30 years in one position, I mean, it's just, I've learned so much, and Perrysburg schools also have given me so many opportunities to learn. As I said, I started out, after the restaurant business, I just like, I don't care what I do, and you know what, I love doing dishes, to cooking, to prepping, to, what I do now. It's not always easy, but we do try to give our students some options, and a lot of fresh fruits and vegetables. I don't know if parents ever know that. I mean, I know some things don't go well, but we really try, and we need to encourage our students to, be open-minded, give us some feedback. But overall, working for Perrysburg School
We made that connection the other day.
And Tim, just, whenever you're ready to push your back out, we're here. So, so congratulations. Hope you enjoy your family and well-deserved time off. So.
Okay, very good. Congratulations, Lila. You will be missed. You will leave a hole.
Great. So we're moving into our recognition of our state qualifiers, and we have a full house, and that seems to be a theme. And we're going to begin with girls golf, and Coach Mr. Rick Rettig is here. So thanks to introduce his state qualifier.
I could just have a few quick words before we introduce our coaching staff. I'll introduce each coach and bring them up to.
Check your mic. I don't know. That might be.
Check. There we go. Sorry. I'll introduce each coach, and they can introduce their coaching staff and then call up their student athletes. But before we begin tonight, I want to echo Mr. Bennington's statements of this being one of my favorite evenings of the year as well. And, it feels like even though this is a frequent visit at the end of each sporting season, it's one that I never take for granted, and it's one that I'm extremely proud of all of our student athletes and our coaching staff to get to this point to be recognized this evening. I had recently returned from our state athletic director conference, and I've seen this transformation and manifestation over the last few years of Perrysburg's athletics teams not just closing the gap with the Division I teams from Columbus and Cleveland and Cincinnati, but now we are passing that, and we're being recognized. There's ADs from all of those cities, from the major powerhouses, who recognize the success of Perrysburg Yellow Jackets and across the board. And that's the other thing that's unique about our athletic program, is that it's not just one team that we continue to recognize. It's across the board. And that's it. And that's, I want to make sure we express our gratitude on behalf of our student athletes and coaching staff to the support of a school board and a community that allows our student athletes to have the resources to thrive at the state level. So without further ado, I know we have a lot of teams to recognize. I'd like to recognize Coach Rick Rettig, who will talk about girls golf.
I think I'll have to lower the mic again. Mr. Jacob's a little bit taller than me. It gives me great pleasure to be here, and happy holidays to you all. Anytime I have the opportunity to talk about our girls golf team, I try to keep it as short as possible. One of our biggest successes this year, I think, was making sure that Sydney Deal didn't join the cross-country team, because last year I think Coach Monheim was really trying to recruit her and bring her in. So first success was keeping her on the team. After that, she takes care of herself. One of the things that is great about Sydney Deal is she is a leader by her play, but she's also by her humility and the way she goes about her business. We have this thing in golf that we hold in high regard. It's called etiquette. And etiquette is simply a way about how you go about your business. And Sydney Deal for the past 3 years has been the epitome of etiquette and what we preach in our girls golf team, how to go about your business, not just how to score, but how to treat your fellow competitors, how to treat the course, and how to treat the game. It has been my honor to be around Sydney for the past 3 years. This is her third year qualifying to the state championship. She was the district medalist, which means she is the top golfer in Northwest Ohio for the past 3 seasons in a row. This year at the district championship at Stone Ridge, it was a very windy day. And when I say a windy day, the winds I think were around 35, 40 miles an hour. It was very, very windy. She surpassed the next best golfer in the district by 12 strokes. Is that right? I think it was 12. Yeah, I'm pretty sure it was 12 strokes. Qualified to the district championship, to the state championship, and then followed that up with an 11th place finish at the state championship. Like I said, Sydney is not only a great competitor, but she's such a humble performer. Really, during the girls golf banquet, I described her as just another player. And that's really what she wants to be seen as, just another good teammate. And she's an exceptional teammate and an exceptional player. Sydney, I know that she doesn't like speeches, so I told her I would take care of this for her. She likes her speeches as the opposite of the way she likes her drives, very short. But there's no doubt that this young lady has a bright future ahead of her past the high school game. But the good thing for Perrysburg girls golf is they get her for one more season. So congratulations, Sydney Deal, on a great, outstanding season.
Accepting a certificate of recognition from a 28 handicapper and a pin.
We should get her in the middle. Let's get her in the middle. She's the highlight.
Next, introducing our girls cross country team is Coach John Monheim.
All right, first of all, I'd like to thank the board for the opportunity to recognize the athletes. And I certainly, Sydney, congratulations, and I'm going to try again. I don't know where, there you are. We can do it, your senior year. We can make it happen. We'll talk afterwards. I'd like to start with inviting up my assistant coaches. We've got 53 girls on the team, which is the largest cross-country program in Northwest Ohio, and it's not even close. And I certainly could not do it without the help of the assistant coaches. So with us tonight, assistant coach Karen Dolliver, if Karen could come up, and assistant coach Ed Osborne. Steve Slivka also is an assistant coach, but he is out of town today. I'd like to start with mentioning a few things. We finished 4th this year at the state meet, and that was an unbelievable accomplishment. There's 185 Division I girls' schools in the state of Ohio, and to finish 4th was exceptional. They won the state title last year, so immediately after the race, there was some tears and some disappointment. But I think once they realized the magnitude of what they did for the second year in a row to be one of the better teams in the state, high school athletes they think they're invincible, and they think you can just do this every year. You can win this every year, and it's very difficult to do once. So after we got through a few hours of the race, I think they realized what they did was pretty special. So 4th place in the state. They were NLL, district, and regional champions, and an impressive year. So I'm going to start with the two seniors, and if you could just come up and line up kind of that way, that would be appreciated. First up, senior Anna Sophia Gower. And senior Sage Cologne. I'm not sure of this stat that I'm about to throw out about these two, but these two were part of a cross-country team that in their 4 years, they won the league title 4 years in a row, they won the district title 4 years in a row, and they won the regional title 4 years in a row. Throw in a state championship. There's maybe 4 or 5 kids around the state in all sports that can say they were a part of a program that accomplished as much as these two did. So congratulations to them. Next up, we have 3 juniors, and we're lucky to have them for another season. Junior Hannah Kirsten, junior Taylor Moody, and junior Sydney Dottlin. Next, we move to the 2 sophomores. Sophomores Ava Beeks and sophomore Natalie Sanders. And then we've got freshman Anna Dalton, Holly Dalton. So, obviously, with only 2 seniors and a bunch of girls coming back next year, and Coach Murray's in the back, and he's going to be recognizing his junior high team here in a moment. One of the reasons we're successful, one of the biggest reasons, is the junior high program. Truly, it's a farm club for our program. It really is. He does a great job of teaching the kids the sport of cross country, but also they seem to come to us knowing what to do and loving the sport, and it makes it easy for us because of that. So I appreciate your recognition, allowing us to be here, and thank all of you for recognizing these young ladies for their great accomplishments.
While they're getting their photo taken care of, I'm going to introduce boys head cross country coach Keith Medeiros.
Before I hand this over to Coach Medeiros, I wanted to recognize Natalie here. Natalie was All-Ohio for the 2nd year in a row. She finished 14th in the state. Last year she finished 30th. No, you were for 25th last year. Top 30 in the state is All-Ohio, and she did it for the 2nd year in a row. She was one of the top sophomores in the state, and now she's off to swimming, and then we'll get her again in track. So congratulations on your all-state performance.
Good afternoon. Thank you to the Board of Education, Mr. Hostler, for giving us the opportunity to come this evening. Just want to say a couple quick words about Anthony. Anthony Clark is only a sophomore this year, but he's already had a huge running career. And I don't think most people realize, especially in boys sports, that when you look at like the competitors at the state meet, the people who are doing well, they're typically juniors and seniors. And Anthony has been a very successful runner right from the get-go as a freshman. He missed qualifying for the state meet last year by 1 place, made up for that this year and qualified, finished 38th at this year's state meet. As Coach Monheim said, top 30 are All-Ohio. Anthony ran one of the smarter races there. Weather was challenging, unusually warm, unusually windy. He had a plan, he stuck to the plan, and just consistently moved up mile after mile, ending up 38th place. He beat several of the runners who had beaten him at the regional meet. So overall, it was a great experience for Anthony. Anthony's also not just a good runner, but an outstanding individual. Anthony is the classic student athlete. And I don't mean just a student in the classroom, but Anthony's a student of the sport. In all my years of coaching, I don't know if I've ever had a student athlete, ask me as many questions about things as Anthony. He's always trying to learn, why should we do this? Or, should I try something different? And even when he's been very successful doing whatever he's been doing, he still questions, are there ways to get better, to improve? So I look forward to the next 2 years. I really appreciate, too, a lot of the help that we've received from the ladies. I just wanted to point out, like Coach Monheim said, they had not only a successful year, but Anthony and I traveled with them, this year to the state meet, and I wanted to thank them for being very outgoing, welcoming. I've been having some knee issues, so I wasn't able to run and do a lot of the things that I normally would with Anthony. Coach Monheim and the ladies took him in and made him feel very, very special with his visit to the state meet. So 2 more years, I think Anthony will be right back here 2 more falls in a row. I'd also like to point out something Mr. Jaco mentioned, and several people have mentioned, and just wanted to point out to the board, 2 of the former boys cross-country runners are now being recognized, being very successful at the Division I collegiate level. Zach Schultz was a varsity scorer for Ohio State this year at the Big Ten Championships and at the district championships, a former record holder here at Perrysburg. And Mark Barancini has also been running at the varsity level at West Point. So I think a lot of times we lose sight that our athletes, their careers don't just end up when they finish their senior year here at Perrysburg. Perrysburg has a lot of athletes that go on to the collegiate level, and I think it's important that we continue to recognize them as well. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
Next, representing our volleyball program is head coach Laura Davidson.
All right. Thank you to the Board of Education and Mr. Hostler for having all of these athletes and us here today. We really appreciate the recognition. When I think about the volleyball team, what comes to mind is family. And I think that kind of environment is something, I've strived to create in the last 7 years that I've been here. And this team is a family. We come to practice, we work together. The parents are so supportive, and a huge part of that family is also my assistant coaches. So let's bring them up. Yes. Coach Jeff Beck and Coach Amanda Finnell. We're missing some of our coaches today, but these are the two varsity coaches that were, obviously with me every step of the way. Amanda's been with me from the start, and then Jeff Beck has joined us. And a fun fact about Jeff Beck is that 16 years ago, he also took the varsity team to the Final Four. So that was the last time the varsity volleyball team was to the Final Four. So it must be just Jeff. I don't know what I'm doing. But extremely proud of these young ladies and the work that they've put in. Off the court, on the court, we do a lot of kind of mental preparation as a team as well, and I don't think people understand all the other work that kind of gets put in. But when they step on that court, they come to play. And a big part of it is also trusting the coaches. They've trusted us. I think at one point this season we were 7-5, and Jeff Beck looked at me and said, "What did I get myself into?" And I said, "Don't worry, we're gonna turn this around." So, and that's exactly what we did. These girls had to fight. We had to come back the last couple matches to be able to earn a co-championship NLL title. So it was a battle all season, and they, just felt that drive going into the tournament, and they didn't want to stop. And they worked their butts off to get there. So we are extremely proud of them. The community support has been tremendous, and we just want to thank Chuck Jaco, John Henline. The AD support is tremendous as well. So we're just happy to be here, and I'd like to recognize our players. Let's bring up our captains, Avery Adamski, Gianna Freyer, and Sarah Paul. Definitely leaders on our team this year, but also Sarah joined us last year. She was a transfer from Southview, but she joined our team, ready to go, ready to win some championships, and that's what she did. Gianna and Avery have been on the team, Gianna for 3 years, and Avery has been on the varsity team for 4 years. And Avery has, received all-state honors for the last 3 years. So these guys have put in a lot of work, and they are the leaders. They're trying to help the younger ones understand what it means to be champions and to work hard and to work together and understand what a team means. I don't know if you guys have seen the NCAA volleyball championships just ended this last weekend, but the numbers are going up, and the popularity for volleyball is one of the most popular girl sports right now. So it's pretty exciting to see on national television. But these guys are part of that. So, all right, let's keep moving. We have Josie Hubbard is one of our seniors. Come on up. And Danielle Clevenger is also a senior. Maddie Troutman, come on up. Sophie Berkey, Katie Paul, Mackenzie Hurley, and Wrigley Tackett, and Brooklyn Oneski. We have two missing players tonight. Casey Ng and Lydia Steyer cannot be with us. They're playing volleyball right now, of course. So, but these are our players. We are super proud of them and the achievements that they have had this year. And we hope that the younger kids coming to watch our matches see that happening and see that they can do that too. So that's what it's all about. So, all right, you guys. This way.
You got a lot there.
Come on in. Do you guys want a certificate to hold up in the picture or no? Yeah, all right. All right. So
We're going to reverse our next introduction here. I'm going to move ahead to last spring. We are tonight going to honor one of our spring athletic programs, and that's our girls track team. And that's going to be introduced by head coach Andrea Monheim.
Casey's not here. Okay, that goes to coach. All right, Brooklyn. Sarah. Hey, look at this. Look at us. Lydia. Not here. Not here. Okay, coach. We got all the Wrigley. And Matt. Save the best for last. Okay. I'll hold those later. Stop right there. Don't laugh.
Hey.
Just walk right by. You're welcome. Congratulations, guys.
Congrats.
And we should get, let's see, I've got 3, but there's 2 that weren't here. Do I give all 3 to coach? Avery, did you get one? Did anybody not get one of the pins? No, we all did. Okay, and then coach, we've got, are you just missing 2 girls? Yep. Okay.
All righty. All right, thank you very much. I just want to remind you that, yes, this is from the spring, so we appreciate the board letting us join all of these fantastic state athletes, and congratulations to all the fall. So we are happy to be here. I also want to thank our athletic department, Chuck Jaco and John Henline. We wouldn't be here with all the behind-the-scenes support, and I know that Veronica also helped us, but I know she's moved on, but I also want to thank her as well. I also want to thank our parents. I honestly, not a little biased, but I really do think we have the best parents ever. You should have seen our track. We all had matching T-shirts, and they made sure we had meals and everything ready. So I just am so happy, and it makes it very easy to be a head coach when you have great kids and great parents. So our 4x8 team, I will introduce them in order of their leg. But before I bring the girls up here, I just want to let you know that they won the NLL. This 4x8 also won the district. They were 3rd in the regionals. They were 9th in the state, which anybody that knows about the state meet, top 8 is all Ohio. But we had the youngest team by far. Last year we had 2 sophomores and 2 freshmen. So we for sure will be on the podium. According to my better half, we will probably be at the top of the podium, up there. But so anyway, let me go ahead and no pressure. But I just want to let you know that sometimes people don't know, but when you look at it, there were no other teams that had 2 freshmen and 2 sophomores. Everybody was just seniors and juniors, so we were by far the youngest. So our leadoff leg was Avery Zeisloff, followed by Natalie Sanders, then Hannah Kirsten, and our anchor leg was Ava Beeks. And then I also want to, 2 of our 4x8 girls also qualified in another event, which is fantastic as well. So Natalie Sanders was 14th in the 800. Natalie, step forward. And again, she was a freshman last year. And then Ava Beeks, also a freshman last year, was 7th in the 800, which is all Ohio, on the podium in the 800. So we're very excited for our Trinks track. We've already started our winter indoor track has already started, so we're ready to go. So thank you for having us, and we'll see you hopefully next year.
At this time, I'm going to turn this over to our junior high athletic director, Mr. Scott Sorg. There's an old cliche that says winning breeds winning. So it's pretty exciting to see that we are here recognizing our junior high athletes and starting this tradition early. So without further ado, to recognize his junior high cross country team, Scott Sorg.
First, let me start off just by saying thank you again to the board for including our junior high in this year's recognition ceremony. We really appreciate that honor. Looking out into the crowd and seeing the athletes that are here being recognized today, and seeing so many familiar faces that have come through Perrysburg Junior High, the success that they had in our programs that has just continued to build into the high school. So you know, it's an honor to be here and to be a part of this, and so we wanted to thank you for that. Again, across the area and growing across the state, our cross-country teams have certainly made a name for themselves. And, you know, it's kind of the joke when I go places and talk about our athletic programs. They're like, okay, so how many kids are you sending this year for junior high, for cross-country? Are you sending 50, 60, 70? And I think that speaks a lot to the programs that our high school, our junior high, our coaches have developed in this community. The love for the sport, that desire to be excellent that has grown from our programs and the continued success that we're having here in Perrysburg. And so I would like to start off by bringing up our boys program, coached by Mr. Matt Ferguson. And the boys are now 3-time state champions.
So first of all, for our team, we had 3 guys place on the podium down at the state meet at Fortress Obetz, the same place where the high school runs, and leading our way was Zach Delasante, placed in 2nd overall. He was followed by Noah Madden, 3rd overall. And then 6th, Caleb Nichols. And then any good cross-country team, it's not just those top guys. You have to have a pack. It takes all 7 to score and compete and win as a team. And we had a really strong group of guys behind them, always jostling for those top spots. Not only were these guys leaders in that, but these guys really followed in those leads. Next we have Bennett Schultz, Jack Olin, and then 2 7th graders who are excited to have back next year running with us and hopefully leading the way, Isaac Pauley and Cooper Bench.
Thank you. You look great with your coat.
That's it.
Thank you.
And as Coach Monheim pointed out, the success of our programs doesn't happen by accident. You know, the tradition that has been started at Perrysburg, and the kids that just continue to come out and continue to love this sport is definitely a reflection of the leadership that we have in our programs with Matt, and then with our girls coach, Mr. Sean Murray. Our girls program this fall has now won their 5th consecutive state cross-country championship. So again, the program has been established. The kids come out and want to be a part of this winning tradition, and our coaches do a fantastic job of moving that talent along and to keep developing our athletes that we're now seeing that success at our high school level as well. So without further ado, our girls coach, Mr. Sean Murray.
Firstly, like Mr. Sorg said, I'd like to thank the board and Mr. Hostler for giving us a chance to recognize these athletes. Kind of before I introduce the top 7 girls who are here tonight, I'd like to kind of mention and give credit to my assistant coach, Michelle Dalton. She unfortunately couldn't be here tonight. Well, I say unfortunately, it's unfortunately for us, but she's actually in Australia, so I'm pretty sure she's enjoying her time there just fine. But she is a huge part of the success of this team, so I wanted to make sure to give her credit. I also wanted to mention the fact that, so we have the top 7 girls from the state meet here tonight, and I absolutely want to give them kind of the credit they are due, but I also want to point out that we have a team of 50 girls, and I truly think, you know, our success, we wouldn't be where we are if we didn't have all 50 of those girls. They all kind of contribute, so I definitely want to kind of acknowledge and give all of them credit. So firstly, the first 2 girls I'm going to bring up here are 2 of the co-captains from this year, and that's Violet Benge and Leah Getchy. In addition to being in the top 7 for the team, Violet also finished 4th overall, so she made it in the top 8 at the state meet. Rounding out the 8th graders, we have Allie McCormick, who placed 3rd overall at the meet. And we have Erilyn Rodriguez. And then we also have 3 7th graders here tonight, which is very fortunate for me because that means, you know, 3 of the girls who finished in the top 7 will be back next year. So we have Charlotte Baxter, Kylie Diller, and Lexi Schultz. And again, you want to say thank you for giving us the opportunity to kind of come up here and recognize these girls. And girls, thank you for running such a great race this season.
Again, on behalf of the board, congratulations to everybody that was recognized tonight. Really, let's give an applause. That's through the list. So usually Mr. Hostler does this, but so we're ready to do some more board actions tonight, but I understand you probably all have homework or holiday shopping or other things to do. If you do, feel free to go now. If you want to stay, please stay. We're going to go ahead and do a 5-minute break while this... All right.
I'll figure it out.
Okay, I'm going to bring us back to order after the break. That was always really nice to do. Always enjoyed all the recognitions. Okay, next on the agenda is superintendent's report.
She did.
Thank you, and it's certainly great to hear about the students' accomplishments, and you know, there's some things that repeated themes that we heard, and that's something that's always of interest to me. You know, you heard about being humble, you know, battling and overcoming obstacles, and all the different players and athletes who necessarily weren't here today, who are part of the team, who all contributed, and so it's certainly very exciting to hear that and that kind of recognition. So we'll move kind of quickly with the superintendent's report. At our last home football game, on our basketball game, changing gears, on Friday against Northview, we had the New Business Clean Express here in town set up a great program with the school's foundation where you could make a donation for a set period of time, and that donation for a car wash went directly to the Perrysburg Schools Foundation. They also had a great deal with where you would buy a discounted pass or washes, and money from that also went back. So they presented Mr. Abke with a check for over $11,000 that they raised during this grand opening period. So it's great to see them. They had a great experience. It helped them get their message out, and this is a great time to have a new car wash in the Perrysburg area. So cars are dirty. So
I got a great wash when I went through.
Yes. So the next thing we wanted to point out is we're so fortunate to have a group of parents, and that's another theme that you heard this evening about the parents being so supportive of our coaches and athletes and programs. And on November 11th, we had over 180 attendees at the Caranor Club, where they were raising funds with something that is the 5th annual Dueling Pianos fundraiser. And it's a great night, and it's wonderful to see the results of what comes of that with our music program. So again, it's the fundraising piece that takes place with the Schools Foundation. It is the support that our parents are going out as the boosters to raise additional revenue for kids. And along that same thread is award for $2,500 to expand STEM learning projects through the Ohio STEM Learning Network classroom grant. And this is funded by Battelle, an outside organization. So yet, again, we're always continuing to look for those ways to bring additional dollars into the district. So whether it be partnering with our boosters, raising funds directly as Mr. Abke did, or looking for grants that we can apply, that is always something that we're always on the lookout to do, and it's great to see it when it pays off. The next is kind of a point of pride for us. So Ms. Tara Zeckman is head of the math department at Perrysburg High School. Just an outstanding teacher, and leads a group of outstanding educators in that department. So we had 61 students take the AP Calculus AB test last year, and the mean score for those students was 4.57 out of a maximum of 5. We had 41 students score a 5, which is 67%. The next year, these students will be taking the AP Calculus BC test. The national percentage of students who receive a 5 on an AP test is 22%. So to just give you that perspective, where our students are averaging 4.57 is a mean, and nationally, 22% achieve a 5. So again, it is something that it pops up and you look at it and you just move on to the next thing. But we wanted to take a moment to really highlight the fact that this is an incredible testament to how our top students are achieving in Perrysburg. And that's a theme that you've heard throughout this last year. And this is just yet another example. And it is not, don't believe us because we're telling you, but let us show you what real achievement looks like, you know, for some of our top performing students. So we're very grateful for that. And in addition to this, we've seen the numbers of the students who are taking AP Calc increase each year. So this is really exciting for us. And again, it just, you know, we're calling out Mrs. Zeckman, but I know her very well, and I know she would say that just like you heard the varsity coaches say, we have great products that are coming from those other classrooms who've learned so much. Getting them at that level is just, they're able to take them a little bit further. So along those lines, again, you know, our performing arts is something that we value. And this is a combination of our students being recognized at a very high level in the Northern Ohio Strings Festival at Baldwin Wallace. There was a scholarship that was awarded to each of those students to go and perform and compete and learn at this event through the Perrysburg Schools Foundation, which again is dollars that we would be taking out of the general fund to send our students to a program like that, but because we have the money available through the Schools Foundation, that is covered. So that, again, you've heard about the Perrysburg Schools Foundation, its Campaign for the Arts. This is one of the benefits of that campaign. So we're so fortunate to do that. I wanted to highlight that included in the presentation materials that is available on board docs, we each year share out to the board and to the public our class size report that is available for your review. We're still seeing an increase of students. So the report shows that I think we've done a very good job of trying to balance where we can. As new students move in, we've seen a couple of classes and grade levels that it just seems like every new family happens to have a student in that one grade level. So that creates some unique challenges for us. But I would take a look at that presentation, and elementary is pretty straightforward. I give Mrs. Price, our assistant superintendent, a lot of credit for really diving into this. She knows the numbers backwards and forwards, and being able to understand at the secondary level, because you'll have students that might be in the same classroom, but they're registered for different classes in that class, and she's able to kind of pull all that out and make sense of it, and certainly an important conversation. We've talked a little bit about this. I know there was some discussion as well in operations, but we have some challenges that we've been facing and working to overcome. As we're looking at some pretty cold temperatures coming up, we're talking about chillers, but our mechanicals in the high school building are all original, so they're over 20 years old. The life span of some of those types of mechanicals are, you know, approaching that end. But they were repaired, so we're grateful for that. The cost to repair the chillers would have been about $1.1 to $1.5 million to do. So we're doing the best we can with what we have. We're continuing to care for them and nurse them along as long as we can. At the Commodore building, we have 2 boilers here. One of the boilers failed. It is being repaired in the next couple of weeks and should be back online in early January, so that'll be a relief to the people that are here in this building. The boiler that went down is 33 years old, so that's kind of on the outer edge of the lifespan of those types of things. And so we've done a good job of maintaining it, taking care of it, but I know there's going to be some conversations down the road with what we need to do. We've talked a little bit about Steinecker Stadium in the past. We're scheduled to do some bathroom upgrades, changing the fixtures, enhancing the paint and flooring in there. It is you know, something that the number of restrooms that are available, that won't change with this work. So we're continuing to have conversations about when and how we might be able to solve that problem. So that's something that's great. Just a few things from this past month. On November 22nd, We had our fourth graders and first graders. They have a buddy system at Fort Meigs, which is a great way to make students feel connected. A couple smiling faces there where they collaborated to make pumpkin pie in a cup. And they wrote recipe cards, and they helped the first graders kind of put that all together. You can see the one instructions there. So hopefully these students are prepared to help out during the holidays. So on December 8th, the administrative team had its annual winter retreat. We went down just down the road to the new glass pavilion, city pavilion, which is right on the Maumee River, and spent part of a day there. So that was a great event. Also, the athletic department is releasing Team One sports streaming options. So we're very fortunate, and you may be aware that BCSN is now offering next year the NLL channel, which is exclusive coverage of the Northern Lakes League, which we're a member. Mr. Jaco said he wasn't aware of any other athletic conference in the United States that had its own television deal that was broadcasting events. We're very excited about that. But even those events that we are not able our fans aren't able to see on BCSN, there is a way for monthly and annual subscriptions to watch events through that. So that's great news for grandparents who are out of town and want to tune in, or mom or dad or family members who can't physically be there. They can pull it up on their phone and watch the games. So that's pretty exciting. Our students continue to do great things, and Woodland Elementary is really showcasing here what it means to work to help others. And at Thanksgiving, they worked with the Perrysburg Heights Community Center, collected enough food in the building to feed 21 area families. So hats off to the folks at Woodland for their leadership. They did announce the class of 2022 Athletic Hall of Fame, so we have an event coming up on February 17th, a Friday, at 5 o'clock. You can contact the high school athletic office for more information. There is a link for purchasing tickets and getting information online. A great lineup. One of our own board members here is being inducted, so congratulations, Mr. Pullman, on your induction as an honorary graduate. So all the leadership that you showed as a coach and through your athletic director and assistant athletic director leadership. So and a great class. And what's exciting is some of these students haven't been out that long and have accomplished some terrific things. So it's great to see that. We did have a teacher that was recognized in the Ohio Senate. So science teacher Mrs. Amy Boros was recognized by Senator Teresa Gavarone and given a proclamation for her leadership and the extras that she does to make a difference in students' lives. And if you kind of follow along, Ms. Boros in the summer is traveling on boats and doing all kinds of things and taking students along. And what's great is she takes those experiences and brings them back into the classroom, and it really enriches the students' experiences. And if you drive past Hall Prairie and you see the actual prairie there at Hall Prairie, she's responsible for that. So it's always a must-see stop anytime we're visiting that building. So we appreciate Senator Gavarone for recognizing one of our bright stars here in Perrysburg. This was another fun thing. So over the next 3 meetings, the American Sign Language Club in December and January will be teaching local state troopers the basic sign language to provide the deaf community with just a little more language access. So when they interact with folks that have that, so it is really wonderful to see that partnership happening. And we're hoping to report more about that. So students in the ASL Club have been learning some of the signs related to emergencies and routine traffic stops inside the classroom. And they're able to take those skills that they've learned in the classroom and then teach those to our students. So that's really cool. So hopefully those students will make a difference in the lives of the state troopers and also the folks that they'll serve. And then finally, I don't know if you saw this, but on Tuesday, December 13th, they had the Silent Night Teddy Bear Toss at the junior high school boys basketball games, 7th and 8th grade. It was the crowd remained silent until Perrysburg scored at 6 point. And then once they did that, everyone who brought a teddy bear threw it out on the court. And you can see in the picture, Assistant Principal Decker and Athletic Director Sorg were there. They collected 107 teddy bears during the 7th grade game and 112 teddy bears during the 8th grade game. And all those bears were collected and donated to Toys for Tots. So
cool.
Great idea, great way to leverage what can happen to make a difference, and just a fabulous time. Everyone had a good time that was there. So thank you for letting me share. And
Nice report. Thank you very much for sharing that. Next on the agenda, Mr. Drewer, walk us through the financial reports. Why 6 points?
I think we need to make a change here, Mr. President. I think after the recognitions and Mr. Hostler's report, then to get the finances, seems like we may be a little bit out of order, because no matter how good a news I have, you just can't compete, right? So.
Well, you give it a fighting chance, Mr. Brewer.
2 things I want to make. Tom, the check from Patel came today.
Great.
So we will not receive. We have received that money, and as point out, the boilers and chillers issue. Mr. Mapus has decided to address the issue by going on vacation to a warm spot, and when he gets back, we'll have a presentation to Mr. Hostler, and hopefully here in the next month or so, we'll have a presentation to the board to deal with them, because it's really going to be something sooner than we need to deal with the facilities. They go hand in hand, but they're not. They got to be done one way or another. So, all right, let's talk about where we are. If my clicker works. Did I do that?
Yep, do that.
There we go. All right, so let's just get where we are to date. We are just a little less than 42% through the year. We're tracking right about what we expect on revenue, and there's actually some bright spots there we'll talk about. And on expenses, we're slightly ahead, but we expect to be, slightly ahead. When I say ahead, that means to the positive on expenses. We're on our downturn trend on cash at this point until we get to tax season, most beloved season for homeowners, to get that tax bill. I did get a call from a lady the other day, goes to ask if she owed us money. And I go, well, I looked it up her. She just had a home transfer, and it was part of the sale. Obviously, they pay the taxes. I said, you'll get a bill. So you're good, and you pay it to the county. If you want to bring it to me, it's not going to do you a whole lot of good. But people are aware. So we're looking good. We're out where we expect. And there's the cash diagram. We're just following what we have every year at this point, not panicking obviously by any means. We never want to see it going down, but that's just the nature of the beast at this point. So where we are. So we're 41.7% through the year. Revenue is strong. Income tax collections are up almost 17%. Our next collection is end of January, and of course that'll be the telling thing. I don't expect that trend to be quite that high. I'm going to talk about here at the end, but our investments are up over 4,000% over last year. Now, I wish I could take credit for that, but the Fed, obviously, and battling inflation and stuff is driving that. And our public utility property tax is up almost 40%. And that's somewhat due to valuation as well, some shifting of tax burden from residential to public utility. The expenditures are always a concern. I'm never happy. It's like, do you really need to spend that? And yes, do we really need to pay people? Yes. So I went through and pulled up the highest percentages of increases year over year. They're not necessarily the highest dollar amount, right? Salaries are up a little less than 3%. That's the highest dollar amount because that's the biggest chunk. But instructional services are up almost 11%. That's primarily paras and support for special education. Our tax collection fees are up 19%. That's driven a lot by, with COVID, we had the moratorium at the state level on income tax. They weren't charging us collection fees. Well, they're now, so that's why that's up. So last year, the state didn't didn't charge a collection fee for administering the income tax. Well, they are now. That's why that's up. And plus, it's up just because collections are up. Tax collection fees are a flat percentage of what's collected. And classroom supplies, we talked about that, paper costs, those kind of things. Cost of substitutes, now it's partially rate, but it's also just absenteeism and some long-term sub issues, pregnancies, those kind of things that are not necessarily in our control. And the big ones from a percentage, we've talked about this, diesel fuel is up almost 50%. We're locked in price-wise the rest of the year. We feel good about that pricing. And our legal spending is up almost 100% year over year. So that's kind of gives you a sense. So we're overall tracking fine. Obviously the expense side always concerns me because, it's like you get a call from transportation, we need to buy diesel fuel. The buses have got to run no matter what the cost is at this point. So I want to talk a little bit about our investments are up 4,000%, and I think it's probably a good thing annually to remind the board how we go about our investment and our investment strategies. We have an investment policy which gives me guidelines or tells me what I can do. Obviously, there's Ohio Revised Code gives me some broad guidelines. But when we do the organizational meeting in January, you give me the authority to invest the district's money. So I think it's worthwhile for you to make sure we're all on the same page on how I go about that or how we go about that. So there's 3 guiding principles with our funds. The first one, obviously, safety and security, right? Taxpayers are giving us their hard-earned money to educate our kids. The last thing we want to do is put it at risk. And that's number 1 goal. The number 2 is liquidity. So whatever we do, it's got to be available to us. And there are rules that we have to follow for how long term, but we really don't run into that at this point. We don't have enough cash to invest for out to 5 years. And then the last one is then to maximize return on inactive funds. And inactive, you can define inactive in different ways, but I just look at, for example, our insurance fund is there as a safety net, right? So I have a little more flexibility with that than I would with our general fund money, which is in and out constantly. So those are the 3 guiding principles, and they're really in order of a priority. So we have our primary banks with Huntington Bank, our checking accounts. Over the last 6 months, we reduced the number of checking accounts from 10 to 4. And we had just too many accounts, and they're there for a good reason at one point, but the problem with all those accounts, more accounts you have, more fees there are. And the way we do fund accounting, you don't need to have separate checkbooks for food service, athletics, general fund, payroll. They can all be one checkbook because it's accounted by fund. So we know how much belongs to each one. We also have some investments with Huntington Bank, primarily in money markets. It provides us a good rate of return and ease of access because with Huntington Bank, literally, the money can be moved back and forth virtually instantaneously. Then we have money in Red Tree, and these are primarily commercial papers and money markets. The maximum maturity on these are 270 days. So typically, we are buying, and again, the state regulates what we can buy, and they're top grade it's not securities, they're commercial paper are IOUs. So we buy top grade IOUs Toshiba or someone wants to expand, they want short-term money, they do an IOU and they pay it back in less than a year. So we see that good return. Right now, those investments are selling for like 5%. So that's a really good return right now. We got in the financial report we have how much money we have there. We just moved a little bit more because we could. This one's highly regulated. There's only a certain percentage of our inactive funds that we can invest this way. So the state, and they look at that, the auditors look at that constantly. And our big source of inactive is in Star, Ohio. Again, mostly money markets, ease of access. And Star, Ohio is kind of our benchmark. If I can't beat Star, Ohio, I'm not doing anything else. I mean, because Star Ohio doesn't cost us anything. It's the protection on it is just the size of it. It's billions of dollars invested in school districts and municipalities, and it returns right now is returning really well. So I look at this is an example. Of course, this was a couple weeks ago. This is Star Ohio's portfolio, $16.4 billion they're investing. At that time, their overnight yield was almost 4%. Last year at this time, we were less than 1% on the overnight yield. That's where that 4,000% is coming from. And the nice thing about Star Ohio, again, the money is sitting there. If I put in a redemption request before 2 o'clock, we have the money the same day. And we can do it by phone, online, whatever. And what we're doing now to maximize return is we're keeping our checking account balances pretty low. And every week, Kelly Wells goes in and we talk about, okay, we're paying these bills this week, we got this payroll, we'll transfer money from Star Ohio into our checking account just as we need it. So we're trying to have it earning as long as we can. The other place that we look at for financial information is this. This is a report I get weekly, and the MMD is the municipal money markets essentially. If we were borrowing, we would be looking at these numbers, and the UST is U.S. Treasuries. So there's a little bit longer term. So they're kind of what we're comparing ourselves against for returns. And if you notice here, which is concerning, and today I looked at a report, it's even slightly, I want to say worse, in that the 2-year returns are better than the 10 and 30 year, which means there's concern in the economy long term, right? People are willing to tie their money up for 2 years, but not 10 at this point, because they want to wait to see what's happening. So I look at these things as we talk about moving money around, and it's one of the fun parts of the job. So that's it. That's what we're doing investment-wise. That's kind of my strategy. Keep our money in Star Ohio moving as we need it, and maximize that return. And we were seeing a couple $1,000s a month last year at this time in investment interest. I think we were over $80,000 this month. So that's nice to see. Now, until we have to do a bond issue and we have to borrow, then we want it to go the other way a little bit.
Right.
Right. A couple other things quick on the agenda tonight is an amended appropriations. We've got more money from grants that we have to appropriate to spend and a few things like that, but it's primarily grant driven on that. And we have some other revenues that came in, like for example, that's the main thing are the grants. Even though we have the money, that's one of the questions you get. We have cash, can we spend it? Not without the board appropriating it, that's what that is. And you got notes in there. I shared something with the Finance Committee. I left it in the notes for you. Things we're working on the fiscal office, and just a couple of things around my licensure standards for really kind of long-term information. That's it. I do want to note, Tom and I are not competitive, but I had less slides than he did, so.
Oh, noted. Congrats. Any questions?
You want to, Eric, these will come to you.
Yeah, these, we are seeing a lot of records requests. A lot of those have to be validated through our attorneys, make sure that there's nothing goes out that would be necessarily in violation of FERPA. We had a lawsuit against the board that was recently worked through. That had legal costs that went along with it. And I think those are probably the two driving factors right there. $30,000.
All right, anything else? All right, happy holidays.
Yep.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you.
Merry Christmas.
Okay. We are ready when you are, Mr. Drewer, to, motion to approve agenda item 7.2, and 7.3.
So moved. Second.
Ms. Larimer, Ms. Eubank, and roll call, please.
Ms. Larimer,
Yes.
Mrs. Eubank,
Yes.
Mr. Pullman,
Yes.
Mr. Bennington.
Yes, motion passes. Next on the agenda is committee reports. So we'll start with operations. Ray or Kelly?
Sure. Just a couple of things going through the list here. Again, the notes are well prepared for you. But the technology, I know the operations committee continues to work on cost savings with projects and not just spend a dollar just to get something fixed. And one of the prime examples would be at one of the things that they did this past couple weeks is install some speakers in the hallway. I believe it's Fort Meigs, and to save $78,000 by doing it ourselves. So I think, again, that's a credit to that group in the operations group. Just with respect to what Mr. Haas reported with the chillers, interesting enough, it takes 50 to 58 weeks to get them in. So decisions have to be made and get moving to get them taken care of. And they actually have, per report from that meeting, life expectancy is something like 25 years, and we've gotten 22 years or so out of them. So it's high school is not the new high school. It's been around for a while now. Other than that, I think the diesel fuel that Mr. Brewer was referring to, they purchased 30,000 gallon for $3.80. So it's one of those things like the stock market, though. The gas prices continue to go down, and you don't know when to fold them, so to speak. But that's a pretty good price for locking it in when they could get it locked in. That's it.
And chillers for a high school isn't something that, I assume there's a select amount of vendors, or few vendors that can get it. It's not something you
And
can
it's
pick up at Home Depot.
supply chain problems, yeah.
Yeah, so. Okay, next committee report. We've heard Finance Committee. Mr. Pullman, anything to add to Mr.? I don't have anything, but anything to add to?
No, I think everything's covered there.
Curriculum Committee, Teaching and Learning. Ms. Eubank?
Yes, it was a very informative meeting, as always, and pretty much just the notes, yeah. We went over SEL and Panorama, and that consisted pretty much of the length of the meeting.
Thank you. Pupil Services, Sue?
Okay, so I'm pulling up, wait a minute, I got my notes here. I actually remembered my notes tonight. So a lot of the things that, this is a pretty skeletal outline that you have here, but the gist that I wanted to have you guys understand is the scope of what Pupil Services does. You think that it only handles one end of the bell curve, and they cover the entire district and so many needs. And one of my main questions was, does Perry ever sleep? He's starting another club, the Afro-American Club, which meets every Friday. And I was like, okay, start a club, but every Friday. He's this whole helping students who we've never known needed help before aspect is quite remarkable. In the research and the legwork that he is doing is really very remarkable. Be sure to look at the Pupil Services newsletter that was sent out to you, and click on the active links in it, because the videos that are in there are phenomenal. They're really, really good. And this really gave you a great example of the massive amount of work that these people do in this club. There was something, the career day. Oh my gosh. They're like this thing is on fire. There are at least 7 staff members that are working on the next career day, and they are dropping it down into younger grades. And there is a 3-part, was this included? No, it just talks about it. In the student services and well-being section on your agenda, it talks about the new careers team. If you'd like, I could send you this chart that Justin did for us, because they've divided career day down into more than just a career day, but it's about how they talk about careers, how you integrate that conversation into everyday work, and then how do you expose students to these careers. When did that start at junior high, or did it go down? It went down to Hull Prairie,
Hull
didn't
Prairie.
it? So it's going all the way down to Hull Prairie. And I think this is remarkable. So what went with a kind of a twinkling of the eye when Lindsay joined us is now coming into this massive event that is a year-long thing, and they're constantly working on it. So if you want more information on that, let me know, and I'll scan this and send it to you.
I just comment, Mrs. Lammer, the newsletter was just fantastic, reading through that. And
Wasn't that cool how
when
they
you get
did
through
that?
reading and all the projects, all the activities, all the things they're doing for the students, it's just, again, continues to amaze me how we're trying to include all. That's the key, all students. So thanks for any input you've had on that.
I think at the strategic meeting, the kickoff, Tom, when you were impressing upon all of those community members that were there, I think I was trying to get the gentleman beside me to really understand the importance and the value that probably, and I agree with you, probably 97% of every person hired in this district knows what our motto is, what our mission is, that we ensure for all students to reach their potential. And you don't see that in many places. And I think that comes from the leadership and the teams that you've created, and it shows when we have all of the accolades that you did there. I mean, our booster clubs, our parents who get behind all of these students, and just they work as hard as the students do, because it's all about them, and it really does show. But as I said, with this particular committee, they're on fire. They are doing so much. I just don't think any of them ever sleep. I really don't. It's amazing.
Thank you. Ms. Lermer, communications. We met on December 6th.
Yeah, communications, what we did was Rachel took the time to actually walk us through what goes on a emergency send-out information, whether it be snow days, the dreaded snow day. Aren't you glad that it's going to be Friday?
Dodged the bullet, yes.
And all of the little steps that have to go into it, and it is so much more than just a phone tree. It's those, once it gets to certain departments, yes, that becomes a phone tree, but all of the things that go into who makes what decision when and how does that information get out. And when you stop and think that we're talking thousands of people that have to be informed within a matter of 5 to 6 minutes, that's incredible. And they've got it down to a beautiful science, and a lot of that is new technology that we're using. And so she ran us through how she does that, and it was a little, I don't know, I was a little overwhelmed watching it, weren't you, Kelly? I mean, it was just kind of like, how did you learn all of this software? But it's a very slick system, very slick. So it's easy to understand if it glitches every once in a while, but I really don't see how it could very much. it was a very interesting presentation. She should do something like that for us in that 5 minutes, and what do you do?
Yeah. That's a good
Because
idea.
she really could show us that, and she's not here, so I can throw that at her. She's not here. We'll volunteer her for that.
Anything to add on communications?
No, that was it. It was very, like Sue said, very interesting how that all gets operated and sent out, and yes, that's it.
I think those are all the committee reports. I know Penta, all the great work they're doing there, they're starting to see a nice uptick in registrations and interest, so they're expecting a
I would think.
solid enrollment coming into the next year.
Oh, good.
Did you want me to
Can I-
talk about the foundation?
Oh, I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
Okay.
When you finish up, I have a question for the committee. Go ahead.
Oh,
Sue
okay.
has something.
All right, so not intentionally, I'm actually modeling something of what I'm going to talk about. But Jeff sent me some notes about some things that have just recently happened, like within the last week. That this, Giving Tuesday is the Tuesday after Thanksgiving, and this was the most successful Giving Tuesday the foundation has ever had. They raised over $17,000 from over 100 donors. That's incredible, and that was all done in one day. These funds, if you're wondering, okay, so they raise a lot of money, but what did they do? Well, one of the things that they used was funding a 4th grade math camp for students, a grant to fund the Ruling Our Experience expansion into the junior high and high school. They purchased an expensive piece of equipment for the occupational therapy room at the preschool, which you can only imagine how much that probably cost. Seat organizers that fit over the students' chairs for a classroom at Woodland. These are the types of things that would have gone undone, completely 100% undone, without the help of the people donating to the foundation. The work of the foundation and the development office really reaches across all grades, multiple buildings, several different areas of need, which is, I think, a large, remarkable aspect of the Perrysburg Foundation. So this group funds lots of programs that we wouldn't be able to do, and allows us to really enhance the experience for all of our students and staff. And one such example, which is a little near and dear to my heart, is the facility dog program, which is completely funded. And I don't know where this misconception came from. This is not from any line item budget that you guys talk about in finance. This is totally done by private gifts and the commitment of the Perrysburg School Foundation and its donors. So it doesn't cost the district anything, but these puppies are very expensive, and we have 3 of them now. And these tens of thousands of dollars were donated by Perrysburg School Foundation. And one of the things that a lot of times, we did the Rainbow Bridge donation page, which you can do there. But we also do things like little fundraising things like this wonderful scarf. Wait a minute, it's over here. And I don't know if you saw the new logo for this, but it's the Perrysburg P, and the hole in the P is a paw print. It is awesome. It is so cute. So they've got the scarf. We've got this hat, we've got this hat, and we've got a hat without the cute little pom-pom if you're not a pom-pom person, and then another one like this, which is personally my favorite. These are $30, and the proceeds all go to the foundation to help with the facility dog program. So any little donation that you can make helps buy a bag of dog food or whatever to help this program go, which is hugely successful. So it's these very soft. So now I know why I needed it, because I didn't know the boiler here had died. Now I know why I'm so cold in here today.
Ms. Larimer, where can we get hat and
Yes,
scarves?
that would be a good thing to know. Okay, so there are 2 ways to do it. You can text Perrysburg Dogs, so it's capital P, B-U-R-G, capital D-O-G-S, so Perrysburg Dogs to 91999. And that will get you immediately to the donation link. Or you can go to, and this is going to be a little convoluted, but it's https://bit.ly/ and then Perrysburg Dogs again. So you could go to that website link, or you can text it to Perrysburg Dogs 91999. And that 91999 will get you to the donation page all the time.
Excellent. Thank you very much.
So I appreciate anybody's help. If you want to do them, or if you need a last-minute gift, these would make wonderful gifts, especially since it's going to be colder in Acton this weekend, so I might as well prepare.
Mr. Pullman, did you have a question?
I'm good. Yep.
You're good?
All set. Yep.
Okay. Any other committee reports? Seeing none, we'll move into the consent agenda. The consent agenda is covering items 10 through 14, which includes approval of the November board minutes, as well as some certified and classified personnel decisioning, and some general other items on contracts, legal assistance fund, Ohio State School Board membership. Mr. Hostler, anything worth pulling out? Or I guess I need to accept, first I need a motion to accept the consent. Mr. Pullman?
Second. I do have a question, though.
Ms. Larimer? Yes, and questions.
Yes. On 11.3, the dog, isn't that for a dog? I thought Sue just said that's all from the Perrysburg Schools Foundation.
11.3.
So if we approve this, we are then paying for the dog.
The expenses of the dog are covered by the, but the staff to coordinate the dog is coming as a stipend at this point.
I think part of it is covering the dog expenses, the food, the veterinarian, all of that is coming from the foundation. We have staff members that handle the dogs, so the challenge for us is, getting, having somebody who is taking this on and is causing them to go beyond their normal hours. So in the contract, there's requirements to pay hourly for some individuals in both contracts. This actually allows us to not go into like an hourly timesheet where if I'm having to do these activities with the dog on my own time or after school or all the kinds of things that have to go into getting a dog from point A to point B. So the stipend allows them to do that because the dog is now part of a tool that is being used, in the buildings. So I was at the junior high today, and I had a different Christmas outfit, so it was cat friendly. So Saltz was there, and luckily he accepted me. But so I think part of this is just the employment piece of asking our staff to do more than what their contracted hours allow them to do.
Right. So. But I when Sue said that, I thought, I saw that on the agenda. So we do pay for part of it.
Well,
it's not fully funded by the Perrysburg Schools Foundation.
Training, too, that she has to go to Cincinnati to get training for this.
I know. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying the statement would be correct that the district does pay for part of the dog expense as well. So it's not fully the foundation. Yeah, that's why I just wanted to correct it.
The dog itself, the initial, and I think there's a quote at one meeting, it's about $10,000, and that is coming from the foundation.
I'm going to call the question on the consent agenda. Roll call, please.
Oh, sorry. Mr. Pullman?
Yes.
Ms. Larimer?
Yes.
Mrs. Eubank?
Yes.
Mr. Bennington?
Yes. Item 15, other items for consideration non-consent. So we are now looking for to nominate the president pro tem for the organizational meeting that is set to occur on January 10th at 5:30 p.m. So I'll open up for any nominations.
I'd like to nominate Mr. Bennington.
Second.
Any other nominations?
I think we should nominate Lori.
Wonderful idea. So I'm going to close nominations and roll call, please.
Mr. Pullman?
Yes.
Ms. Larimer?
Yes.
Mrs. Eubank?
Yes.
Mr. Bennington?
Yes. And that takes us to board discussion on any new business. Is there any board discussion? Seeing none, we have no one signed up for public participation, so I will ask for a motion to adjourn the meeting.
So moved.
Ms. Larimer?
Second.
Ms. Eubank? And roll call, please.
Ms. Larimer?
Yes.
Mrs. Eubank?
Yes.
Mr. Pullman?
Yes.
Mr. Bennington?
Yes, we are adjourned. Thank you very much. Enjoy the holidays.